And just as I'd begun to believe it was all over. How stupid of me. It's not over. It'll never be over.
So our last game of the season, early kick-off as Wednesday travelled down to Vicarage Road to play Watford. Saw something in week, obviously there was another mini protest planned. It was a colour protest again, obviously away from home, not as great numbers. And I did see something that made me laugh, because the information had gone out about yellow cards, everybody, and wear your yellowed away shirts and, you know, what have you. And I saw a comment on Twitter, somebody put, but Watford playing yellow, so it'll not stand out. And first comment underneath, well, good, look like everybody at ground's taking part in protest, so that made me giggle anyway. But yeah, last game of the season, and you can't help but think probably last game for quite a few people. Final lineup of the season for Wednesday: Charles in goal, a back four of Valerie, Charles, Otugbeo and Johnson. A midfield of Patterson, Ingleson, Bannon and Gassama, with Josh Winder supporting Michael Smith up front. Do you know, it hardly seems like it's worth going into detail, because we know where we are in table, don't we? You know, we finished 12th, we finished mid-table. So do we really need the detail? I mean, what I would say is, in many ways, this game, this result, encapsulated the season in one goal. You know, the first half, I thought Wednesday looked really in control. Thought we controlled the ball. Thought we looked really comfortable. A couple of gilt-edged opportunities. We take the lead, and this is what I mean, typical Wednesday, and then we just get caught out with a very simple ball just before the break, and not so much a game, even as a half a football. I think that would encapsulate the season. I think if somebody said, how's this season been, you could say, watch this 45 minutes, that's our season. I genuinely think you could do that. Second half, you know, it was a bit of an easy game. As I said, the battle for 12th, you know, I don't think anybody were that bothered about that. It was nice to see Liam Palmer get on and get some minutes there in front of away fans. Tremendous servant for the club. And it's more what stuck in my mind was the sort of celebrations after the game, that connection between the players and the fans and the coaching team. And you see them images there, the mutual respect. It's emotional. There's the fans there, there's the staff and the players showing their appreciation of each other and all their efforts over the season, and the fans travelling up and down, turning up in numbers, the length and breadth of the country, rain, snow and shine. The players out there on the park giving everything they've got to finish as high as they possibly can. The manager, the staff providing all that support. And that appreciation of each other, as I said, you see, that's what a football club is. That hub, that togetherness, that sense of connection. And to see those scenes really quite emotional there at the end. And see that wonderful photo, like a team photo, but with all the supporters in. I think that's a wonderful sort of gesture as well. Everybody in it together, because that is the team, that is the club. The players, the management, the fans. That's what a club is. But sadly, it did feel like the long goodbye. Danny's name being chanted, and obviously you could see the emotion there, and he was trying to get away. They were sort of calling him back and chanting his name again, and you know, it's like the train station in Brief Encounter, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You've got to bring a tear to eye. That's how it is, isn't it? It's been a bit of It's been a bit of a love affair. Well, sadly, in love affairs, often somebody ends up with broken heart. In this scenario, genuinely, I think it's both parties. And that'll look very emotional down there. And I mean, overall, I'm glad the season's over. You know, there I've said it. And I love football. I love football. I love talking about football. And I've said many times, if I weren't doing this channel, I'd be talking to myself in shower about things that happen. I'd be sat up bog, chuntering to me saying, you know. But this season has been a tiring season. It's been a draining season. And it shouldn't be really, because it's been a positive season overall. Yes, the home form hasn't been fantastic. Yes, there's been some results where we've took a spanking. But overall, in terms of the team and as a club, it's another stepping stone after that promotion. It's a, you know, we stayed up last week. I am tired. Stayed up last season, skin at teeth. Stayed up the season comfortable, mid-table, a building block, you know. And yet, it's been draining, and it's been draining not because of what's happened on the pitch, because I think we've done well. I think for the large part, the squad overall has overperformed. Now, I'm not saying that we haven't got some good players. We've got some excellent players in there. Gassama's a very good young talent. Obviously, we've got the potential with the young goalkeeper. We've obviously Bannon, we know what quality he's got. Windass as well. There's some quality in that squad, but as a depth, the depth of the squad for the Championship, I think we've overperformed, because when we've had injuries and one thing which we've had all season long, it's shown how thin we are, and we've still managed to cloud enough points and get results. So I think we've overall slightly overperformed, you know, where we are to finish where we have, and certainly to be as high as we were at one point when we were sort of knocking on the door of the playoffs. So why so tired? Well, it's tiring because it's been everything else that's been attached to it, you know. As a football supporter, you want to get a game, you want to enjoy the football if you can. But you want your drama to be what's happening on the pitch. You want your drama when you're following a football club to be whether somebody should have been sent off, whether the referees had a shit game, last minute winners, conceding last minute goals. That's your drama. That's the thing that you want to walk away at weekend talking about. They're the talking points when you're messaging your mates or you're WhatsApping or you go for a pint in pub. That's the drama you want to be talking about in football. But it ain't, is it? On the pitch, overall, over the season, it's been an above steady season. But all our dramas come off the pitch again. And that's a shadow that hangs over everything. So now, you know, I'm sure a lot of you feel the same. We've got to the end of the season, and people talk about a boring mid-table finish. But I feel drained. I feel exhausted. And it's all that other stuff. So we've got to the end now, and it should be looking forward to the summer months and like, right, you know, let's chill out a bit, recharge batteries, you know, whatever, enjoy the sunshine. But we're not away. We're probably not going to. We're probably going to be thinking about other things because there's so many unfinished storylines for the season. You know, the final whistle has blown on the pitch, but the season hasn't ended. The Wednesday storylines haven't ended. 12 players out of contract, and I've been seeing tweets from other clubs over the last 2-3 months or so. Little statements going out. We're delighted that so-and-so's extended his contract for another year. Delighted to announce this player's signed a 3-year extension. Wednesday, 12 players out of contract, we've got no idea. Obviously, we're probably waiting to see where we finished, but everything's a delay, and we've had this year upon year, so we don't know who's going to stay, we don't know who's going to go. One or two of the players have probably got an inkling, but we've got no idea. And even then, I suspect it's subject to change. Now we know where we're finished. We know we're not going down. We know we're not going up. So I suspect some of them decisions have been like, oh, actually, better keep hold of him. And then, of course, is the big drama.
Took over in position 24th, to develop to the 12th position, to make the next step. It's not an easy step for us as a group, for us as a club, and you need a lot of right things to do. And you're right, I'm ambitious. I want to work on the highest level. I want to make the next step, and I think this is also where I made my decision. It's a huge, huge club. It's a sleeping giant, but I think this is also part, just with this mode of a sleeping giant, you cannot make the next step, and I think this is also important. Sometimes you come on a point where, you have to move on.
Had his head turned at Christmas, let's make no bones about that. Folks don't have their heads turned quite as easily if they're in a good relationship. But, that's a fact, whatever line of business you're in, that's if it's you and your missus. I don't think he's covered himself in glory there, he's young. It's easy to forget how young Danny is. A week after Danny was born, I was at Hillsborough watching Wednesday get relegated. It's easy to forget how young he is. And maybe that little bit of inexperience, he'd obviously got Monk on a bit there. But he's under contract. And like I said, I don't think the temptation's there if you're working in an environment where you can think, I can flourish here, I can succeed here. Now Danny, this is his first managerial job, and there's not a lot of managers step into a club this big for the first job. Not a lot. So he probably couldn't believe his luck, genuinely. Then of course when he's arrived and seen how it runs, how it operates, he probably thought, oh Jesus. He's under contract, you've got to be fair to the chairman. And he takes a lot of criticism. He's taking a lot of criticism from me. The one area where he don't get stiffed is with managers. And in fact, if he'd had a similar attitude towards getting compensation for players that he's had getting compensation from managers over the years, we'd be laughing. If we'd brought in the sort of fees that he gets for his gaffers for players, spot on. So Danny's tied down. I think it's for another year. But he don't want to be here, does he? I think the relationship's broken down. There's been little hints over the last month where, and I'm genuinely a positive sort of person. I've got a miserable face. But in here, I'm a bit of a romanticist. I am. I am a little bit, I believe in fairy tales. And there's been little bits and you sort of overlook at things, don't you? And because you're trying to pick out glimmers. And so I've been watching his post-match press conferences or his pre-match and I'm like, oh, he said we and not them. So maybe that means he still wants to be. Do you know what I mean? You cling to these little bits of hope. You try and get them out with pincers. He talked about next season then. He must be going to stay. And like I said, overanalyse these moments and, they're probably just slip-ups. You're speaking any second language, little slip-ups of words, and I've been on them. Oh, brilliant. I'll stay. And I've talked to one or two people, I don't know why it's so bothered. Gaffers come, gaffers go. How many gaffers you had in your lifetime, Jim? And I'll be like, well, I don't know. 20. I genuinely couldn't tell you. And gaffers do come and go. But as I said, I'm a bit of a romantic. I am a little bit believing in fairy tales. And I'm very much someone who goes by feeling. And from the minute this bloke walked in the door, I got that feeling that something could be special. And I genuinely still believe it could be special. Except for the fact we're so far behind all other clubs now. You know, and I look at clubs, and no offence to them, I look at clubs like Bournemouth, who in my head are a 4th division club, you know. Brentford, who in my head are a 4th division club. Or Brighton, maybe a 3rd division club. And I look at the way they run, I look at the way they operate, and they're like years ahead of us. The idea, say it to yourself out loud. The idea that a player's got to choose the 2 clubs, where would you go? Sheffield Wednesday or Bournemouth? Not every player with a brain cell is going to go to Bournemouth now. But for the last 145 years, that wouldn't have been an option. I'm sounding audible to them clubs, and I don't mean it that way. If anything, I'm full of praise for them because they've done things the right way, and they've proved that you can't sit on your laurels. You can't sit there and say we're a big club because we've got a massive cop and we've got 20,000 people who turns up every week, because that don't constitute being a big club anymore. It doesn't. Having a big fan base doesn't. It means you can potentially be an even bigger club if you run properly like they are. I don't know where I'm going now. I set out to just do a quick match review for 5 minutes, but do you know what I mean? But it's because I know the season's not over. And all the drama is going to carry on for the next month, and the next month after that, and the next month after that. And it's not going to be drama on the pitch. It's not going to be about players. Honestly, I never thought I'd say this. I'm glad season's over. I'm glad it's over. And I should be happy. I should be happy because it has been a step in the right direction. We clambered up, we clung on, and this year we managed to pull his leg over onto the top. Next step should be about standing up and walking on. But we don't know what it's going to be. As usual, everything's just been chucked in air, and it's like, right, let's have a look at the runs and see what's left, you know. This has been a really bad video of mixed analogies and everything else, hasn't it? But that's where we are. That's how it's got me this season. It is. It's not over, is it?
It's not over. It'll never be over.